It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the pledge of allegiance on the 4th of July. It's the handwritten letters from home. It's the sleepless nights alone. Newborn baby you left at your wife. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. While these stars and the stripes. From the hills of Indiana, from the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. While these stars and the stripes.
Hey, Battle on the Homefront. I got an amazing show with Linda Still, Furnishing Fatherhood. Y'all stick around. Battle on the Homefront. We're here. Linda Still, Furnishing Fatherhood.
Yes, sir.
Foundation or organization?
Just an organization.
Okay. We were just figuring out which is the difference in those. We met on social media. I'm very grateful for it. Someone tagged you on one of my lives I was giving away.
Raymond Storm.
Yeah, there you go.
Shout out to Raymond.
We were giving away free flags and some active duty stuff. Barrage, you and your husband both jumped in on there and was just winning. I was doing trivia questions and just random stuff. But so with what you won, there you go. Wow. Shout out to Hooker Island Wood Company for donating that to Battle on the Homefront to be able to do this. Thank you veterans for their service, their sacrifice. There's another one. Yes. Oh wait, they were winning. Trust me. Hang on.
Oh my goodness.
Also the Night Ops sleep formulation. Y'all check out activedutyrx.com as well on that.
I want to thank my husband for getting this for me because
He's like, which one you want, babe?
He was too, and I was like, I want to sleep.
Well, that will help you sleep. Well, we've had phenomenal results with that.
You were telling me about it. I'm excited. I'll let you know definitely how it goes. Yeah.
Please, and we're about to be upgrading that as well, just for the people that are following active duty's progress. But we're about to be adding CBN cannabinol to that ingredient list. So please, let's get into it, and please tell me a little bit of time and service, your story, and we got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it's weird because we're not on the same path, but a lot of our paths come together.
The more we talk, the more I realize they're like, oh, I'm doing this. Yeah. I'm like, I'm doing that as well. It's like, it's perfect. So.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is we were both led through our services for the path that we're going. Mm-hmm. We have very different service experiences, but I think where it took us in the civilian world, I see it as being such a huge potential to give back to our community. Is some of those lessons we learned. Some people have skills and other people have lessons.
Yeah.
I got lessons, right? So I did 12 years in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. I enlisted in 2008 when females could not have combat MOSs, and the closest you could get was an MP, a military police officer. So I ended up going into support and supply. I did vehicle maintenance, and we worked in the supply industry. And then in 2014, my unit reorganized, and they were like, we're not going to retain you. You need to go find a new job, and you need to go find a new home. So it was like a job fair for the Army. All of these battalion commanders come down, and the first one who spoke was an artillery battalion commander. And I swear his presentation changed my life. Watching those guns go off, talking about, all of these things that we could be doing, I was like, get me out of this motor pool. I want to go shoot that.
Yeah.
So 2014, I was put on a waiting list, waiting for just the legislation to pass, right? 2015, I get put on the gun line, and I start training just as a non-MOS qualified soldier. 2016, I go to school. Well, From school, I ended up going out on the gun line, and I became the first female artillerywoman in the state of Oklahoma for the Oklahoma Army National Guard.
That's awesome.
It was an amazing experience. I had no idea what my capabilities were, but to be given an opportunity and to succeed at it was awesome.
That's cool. That's history.
So I'm minding
cool.
my own business, right? I know nothing, and my organization wasn't started yet. I'm just Corporal Steele going through artillery school. And everything in my life, it was like nothing had come together yet. I go through artillery school, I get out on the gun line, I meet all of these men, and I was introduced to a different level of service, which was more of a combat level of service. This battery I walked into, these men had deployed 2 to 3 times together. They were very close, very connected, and at the same time, I could see was, I don't want to call them broken, but they had been through some stuff, and it's what brought them together. And at the same time, from an outsider coming in, it was like, why is nobody paying attention to this? What is going on? Why is nobody listening? And in that moment, because of the position I was in, I was getting interviewed on the gun line. People were talking to me, and I used that as an opportunity to say, why aren't we paying attention to these men? Why aren't we paying attention to these soldiers who are already here? You want to come down and interview me for being on the gun line with these men? They've been here for 20 plus years already. Why are we not paying attention to them? And in that moment, when the Army Times came down, I remember so vividly, like my chief was like, Steele, fix your straps, you look fucked up. You're about to go get interviewed. You got dirt on your face. So all of these, soldiers were around me, and they're cleaning the dirt off my face. They're making me look presentable again. We've been shooting for a week, and the Army Times come down, and she said, I can't wait for there to be a day where there's an all-female gun crew. You've really proven that we could do this. And I was like, I didn't prove shit. What are you talking about? I didn't do this by myself. I did it with these men who are fathers. You want to look at me as a mother, as a woman on this gun line, but why aren't we looking at these soldiers as men? Why aren't we looking at these soldiers as fathers? Why are you trying to set me apart from these men? And I kid you not, I left the gun line, got back into the civilian world, and I contacted the Fathers' Rights Movement. And I thought I was in a position where I could show equality. I could show appreciation. I could give back to an entity of people that I wouldn't receive anything from. So I started Furnishing Fatherhood in 2018, and I started listening to these men's stories who were in my unit, and they all had the same story. They all got home from a deployment. 80% of them went through a divorce while they were deployed. They get home, their house is cleaned out, their car's gone, their bank accounts are gone, and their kids are gone. Now we have to ask ourselves about PTSD. Now we have to ask ourselves about these effects. Did these issues come just from being overseas, or did it come from that battle at home as well? So I wanted to give back to these men the way they gave back to me by helping me to get onto the gun line. So I started furnishing their houses, because I thought at least if they had furniture, then they couldn't take their kids from them. If they at least had a place to go, and I started doing research and everything else.
A stable home environment in a sense, right?
Did you know that there is not one homeless shelter in the state of Oklahoma for fathers? Did you know if you were a little boy who reaches the age of 13, you can no longer stay at a family shelter, you have to go to a men's shelter? Did you know we have no houses for families who are going through these separations to go, so the men end up homeless? And I didn't see this from a society perspective. I had to see this from the men I served with. So we had soldiers who were coming to drill 1 weekend a month, going on deployments, getting mobilized, doing all this, but nobody knew that they were actually living in a shelter or living on a street or had just lost their kids or had all these situations. And everybody wanted to talk about this female on the gun line, and nobody wanted to talk about the dads who were already there. I did. And I wanted to talk about it with a solution. So I started creating resources for dads because I wanted to say thank you to the soldiers who allowed and helped me to become an artilleryman.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great story.
That's what I did.
I love it. So what was your first experience of furnishing a home?
Oh my gosh. It'll change your life. So I was a volunteer for the Fathers' Rights Movement, and a dad had messaged the page, and he said, hey, the mother of my child usually shares the car seat with me, but she doesn't want to share anymore, and she said if I don't have my own, then I can't pick up my son, right? Well, I was like, surely I could get you a car seat. I'll figure it out. And I went to the Facebook Marketplace and I said, I need a car seat for a dad so he could have his child this weekend for his visitation. And then I found out he lived in Tulsa. So I was like, look, if I'm going to drive all the way to Tulsa from Oklahoma City, how much else do you need? Let me get all of it.
Let's load you up.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Turns out this guy had been homeless for almost a year and a half. He had been couch surfing. He had just put a deposit down on his first apartment and he had absolutely nothing. And just in the true fashion that I had seen on the gun line, he didn't care. He didn't care about what he had. He didn't care about all the materialistic possessions. He just cared about having his son. So when I found out that he was wanting his son to come home to his brand new apartment and show him his new home and all of this stuff, and there wasn't even a bed for him to sleep in, I went back to the Facebook Marketplace and I said, here is this dad's wish list. And he needed a complete house furnishing. In 2 weeks, I had enough things donated to me from this community, from Oklahoma, that I could furnish 2 homes. So I loaded up a truck and a trailer. I got some friends with me. Actually, another female artillery woman came with me, and we went and furnished this dad's house. And his son was there. And when you see a little 3-year-old run out of a door, I don't care who you are, I don't care if it's not your kid, and he's like, is this all my stuff?
Right.
I made sure in that moment to tell him, this is your dad's stuff. He had been holding it for you, and I wanted him to know he had been saving it because it's not a donation. You're not here for charity. We don't give charity. We give a hand up. So we wanted his son to know that he had always had these possessions. We were just here to bring it to him. And we were able to furnish this man's house with his son there. And when his son drug his bed back out of his room and said, watch me lay in my bed, watch me sleep in my bed, I busted up. Yeah. You know, dad's crying, I'm crying, we're all like, okay, this is so great.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
No, you're crying. Well, in that moment, it was like an aha moment. And I was like, I need to start furnishing. So I furnish about 150 houses a year, all men, all dads, and we get it from in-kind donors, my neighbors. Yeah. My neighbors help me.
I love it. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Y'all check out my sponsors, Prater Roofing Construction and Barrage Coffee.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula when it matters most. You've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Can-Tek Labs.
Battle on the Homefront, we're back. Linda Steele, Furnishing Fatherhood.
Yes, sir.
Amazing story. I love everything you're doing. It's really cool, and it really, I can tell you something what it's done for me as well. Even hearing that about the National Guard soldiers coming home to an empty house, or shortly after that, an empty house, because the mental health is hurt when a lot of us come home, and I think this is definitely a way to combat veteran suicide, because there's no doubt in my mind that this plays a factor in it. And I really, obviously, I understand the mental health, the addiction, a lot of the aspects of that, of why we're getting veteran suicide and pharmaceutical deaths as well. But yeah, like, and I've heard from some other National Guard people, like, I was homeless, but I'd show up for formation and I'd make sure I wasn't AWOL, and then I'd get that $200-something a month.
I was that soldier.
Right.
For the first 4 years of my service, from 17 to 21, when I originally enlisted, my mom had actually kicked me out, like within weeks of enlistment, right? So I'm 17, I'm a junior in high school. I'm displaced now, and I still have this obligation, this adult obligation to the military. I've signed on the dotted line. I'm supposed to go to basic training. Now I'm in Iowa. Now I'm going through all of this stuff. And what was interesting was two things. On one hand, yes, I was homeless, and it was my National Guard unit that made sure I had a cot, picked me up from bus stations, fed me, let me go home with MREs because I didn't have any food. In ways, as soldiers, we supported each other, and that was how the camaraderie started, by just saying, we have a mission we have to accomplish together, which is to get our job done. Here's some food. Here's a place to stay. Here's a warm place to be. So from 17 to 21, I'm a non-deployed, just out of basic training, still a senior in high school, homeless soldier with no family. And it was only the National Guard that I had. So what they did is they let me use a vehicle, and I got my GED. I was 17 years old, and I kept going, right? There was no homeless shelters, there was no resources. It wasn't like because I was a National Guard soldier, I qualified for all of these active duty services. I was a Guard soldier that was fresh out of basic training, still a senior in high school, but now I'm homeless. That never changed. At 17 years old into the service, 21, 26, 29, we're still having soldiers going into the bathroom because they're too broke to get a haircut. They can't make it on base. They don't live on base. They don't have their resources. And some Joe's just buzzing them bald and they're 31 years old.
Yeah, that's...
Talk about mental health.
Yeah, that's wild. It opens my whole idea. I'd like to know what resources out there, what organizations, what foundations, whatever.
Yeah, it makes you want to search. You
right.
know?
Who's taking care of these National Guard soldiers? Because I was active duty, so it's for me to understand and hear the experiences of active duty soldiers. This is all new to me.
Yeah.
Like this is new and fresh and raw to me because I didn't understand, and I love this because I go through these new evolutions and changes with my whole mindset of and my eyes getting opened to like now the National Guard.
Right.
Like, and it never crossed my mind. And the last time that I had, I guess, this epiphany of like, well, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
But my last deal was when we started working with the spouses of veteran suicide.
Yes.
And so my eyes opened up for them, and I was like, oh my God. So, but now it's National Guard. Like I didn't even realize that. And so now it's a whole nother thing that who's addressing that? Who's addressing these soldiers? Because you've got soldiers that are...
You have soldiers that are single parents, but we have no daycares, no resources for them to take their children to.
Crazy.
And to answer your question, it's us.
Yeah, right.
It's us in our units together. We had a single mom in our unit. We would watch her child if she couldn't find anybody. If when our car breaks down, you call Sergeant so-and-so and he comes and fixes it for you. You need a job? Come over here, buddy. We got one for you.
So you've seen a lot of that.
We built it ourselves.
Right.
And I think that's what made going into the nonprofit realm so common sense for me, because it felt like in the National Guard, if you didn't know, the Joe standing next to you, if you didn't know the soldier standing next to you, you had no idea that person was going home to no home, yet they're expected to be mentally able and available to deploy tomorrow. And you had no idea this dude is out there actually waving flags to get people to pay $5 to come into those parking spaces. You know how many of those guys I know that are actual National Guard soldiers?
Really?
We don't think about that.
Yeah.
But we did. And so what we did was little things. When I was out in Shawnee, I saw this kid. I'll never forget him. He got his head shaved in the bathroom because he was too broke to get a haircut. The National Guard doesn't pay for haircuts. You don't get any BAH or anything like that in the Guard. So they just take you in the bathroom, they shave you bald, and you leave for the rest of your month, with no hair. So I couldn't stand that. I couldn't see it. So I went to local barber shops and I said, is there any way you could come cut these soldiers' hair so that they're not walking around bald, and maybe they'll want to go get more opportunities in the civilian world because they're not bald. And they did. So we just looked out for each other. And that's exactly what I do with my organization now. Yes, I furnish houses for dads, but I do so much more than that. I was on the phone with a veteran today, actually on my way up here, making sure he needed CV joints. Okay, well, let's go to a pull apart. I got a crescent wrench. I know how to do this. Let's go. Let's see what we can do. And that's exactly the mentality we want to have with what we're doing. Is it's not about what you've experienced. It's where do you want to go and how can I help and make sure you get there? And we don't see that enough.
Service, just like the military.
Just like the military. That's why I think we're leaders.
Yeah. No, and I speak on that all the time, and I think it's so important, especially for foundations or organizations, to have that same mindset, that mentality is like, okay, well, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll make this happen real quick. So you tell me what is going on with y'all right now. What are you doing? What are you doing in the community?
So we're broadening out, right? We couldn't just stay with furniture because nobody comes to me and just needs one thing. They need lots of things. So we're creating a hub, much like we did with like the VA. They have their little hub and little places you can go. The issue is do you want somebody who has your back because they're going through it with you, or do you want somebody who's going to track and monitor you and be your case manager?
Right.
We don't need any more case managers. We need people in our community who care. The way that we cared about each other when we were serving is the same way we need to care about our neighbors today. And if we don't start caring, then we allow our service members who are now veterans to fall. Because where they were at in their service was equals with the soldiers amongst them. You weren't just a soldier, you were somebody in my platoon, you were somebody I had to care about. But we don't see that from our neighbors. And I think that's what makes veterans so influential in our community, and why I want to encourage. When I heard that you were giving opportunities for veterans to get involved, that is all I want to do, is give these veterans an opportunity to showcase that leadership. Build that camaraderie, do this with us, and we can actually instill in our community how to be together, how to work together, and not let any of us fall anymore. So Furnishing Fatherhood branched with a community center out in Spencer, Oklahoma. This community has no resources, no transportation, no places for the kids to go, no places for anybody to go. It's just a dilapidated community that's been forgotten about in between Choctaw and Midwest City, right? Yep. So what we're doing is we're creating a hub out there, and we're building it from the veterans. Everybody that I am partnered with is a veteran that saw a need in their community and filled it with a lesson they learned in the military. Where I learned a lesson for support and caring, my partner learned a lesson with paths and avenues. So we actually came together, and we are opening up a community center all built by veteran nonprofits who started in their garages because they just cared. And that is exactly what we're doing today.
And y'all have a bunch of stuff there. Set up, ready to give food away.
Yeah.
Correct?
We have about 25 pallets of food at our community center right now. We have furniture, we have clothing, we do all youth athletic programs for free. They're all nonprofit. And what we actually encourage is for the kids to be able to come out, and us as parents to come together and build each other up while our children are having an opportunity to be kids. And all of our organizations are veteran run. So Coach Sims, who has Sims Boxing Academy at the community center, his coaches are all veterans. He started boxing in the Army and was a boxer for the U.S. Army for 23 years. So he took his lessons from the Army and he made a path for civilians, and it's all veteran ran. Yeah, so when I saw you and everything you were doing, and you were looking at creating opportunities for veterans, I was like, bro, I got the path. Come with me.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Shout out to my sponsors, Can-Tek Labs and American Wholesale Hemp. Battle on the Homefront, we're back. This is a great show, and my first female guest, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
noticed that.
Yes, I know.
How did that happen?
I don't know, but here we are though. But I'm very grateful, because I think this is one of the coolest relationships that I have with a nonprofit now, and I think there's so much we can do, especially like y'all have a building right now, Able, and so I actually think in Spencer, my good buddy Kelly Hall, he is the founder of Homeless Military Veterans. He just opened the laundromat there.
Yes.
Yes, are you tracking that?
Well, he has a billboard, and I've seen it, and we haven't been able to connect yet because we have
We
this
will.
gala coming up.
We will.
Okay.
We will. I'm going to arrange this meeting because what all of us right here, us three are doing is perfectly in line with each other. You know, he's getting we got a semi up here during the big ice storm.
Yeah.
We got $20,000 worth of beverages, drinks, and we get those. So if we have a place for us to start taking it to another resource center, because that's one of our issues now. We're looking for buildings right now, and we're in the process, but we don't want to miss a load, right? And so if we can send them your way.
Yeah, I think I have some ideas for you.
Yeah.
I think I might know a place where it could go.
No, we will. And
Yeah.
I got to get it. And one thing I love about Kelly Hall, shout out to my man. I love that guy. He's so kind-hearted and truly selfless. It's unreal. And that's why he's one of the few organizations that I've truly partnered with, because he walks the walk and he talks the talk.
Exactly.
That's real big for me.
You know, I think that comes from our lessons in our service.
For sure.
How many times did we go into a mission, have something we had to accomplish, maybe not had everything we needed, we had issues going on, and we were never allowed to say, sorry, can't do that.
Wow.
And that's something that I've experienced as being difficult in the civilian world is veterans don't have excuses. You just do what you're supposed to do. You accomplish what you need to accomplish because it's the mission and the job, regardless of what it is. And I think with partnerships like that is how us as veterans help to lead this community, because we don't give excuses. We make things happen.
Mission first.
Always.
And it's weird. I was just, the other day I was thinking about that. And I was thinking in my head, I said, man, when we got briefed on a mission, not one time did I ever think of the danger involved.
Yeah.
Never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It was mission first. This is what we do.
You just pulled out your notebook and you took, yeah.
That's what we did. And so I was just thinking about that. But we got some good stuff we can do together. And there's something else that I'm very interested in. I know without a doubt 110% I want to be a part of. It's already locked in my brain, and once I get something in my brain, I know I'm going to do it. But it's what you discussed about the mentor. The mentoring.
Yes.
As you know, and a lot of my audience knows, I went down a very dark, bad path out of the service, and it ended up putting me in prison. Luckily, I'm back here, and I can help people and do this. So please talk about that, because I'm doing it. One way or the other, I'm doing it.
Absolutely. Okay, so I kind of want to bring you through an evolution real quick if you're watching this. Yes, I started in the military. Then we started creating resources because of what we experienced in the military. Then we started creating partnerships, and now what we're creating is pathways, and that's what I talked to you about. My community center is currently in communication with creating a mentorship program for our youth that is veteran run. From an opportunity where these children, we want them to actually be, it's called the kids of the community, right? We want them to be the leaders that we learned how to be, but not have to make those sacrifices we had to make to learn those lessons.
Them hard roads.
Yes.
Them hard paths.
We've already walked those roads.
Yeah.
Let's take us who walked those paths and reach back into our youth, reach back into our families and say, I don't want you to walk this path, but I want to help you. And so what we're doing is we're creating a mentorship program right now for children, and what we're trying to do is have it all veteran run. Not so much of the breakdown to build you back up from a basic training sense, but let's take a step back real quick and figure out the direction you want to go, because we have faced those adversities. You've talked about being incarcerated. I've been incarcerated. You've talked about struggling with addiction. I've struggled with addiction too. It's something that's a part of me. But if I could take that lesson, if I could create a program and have it run by those who understand how to sacrifice for the better good, which is veterans, then we can influence the next generation to not face these adversities. Let's lower that incarceration rate for our youth today who are going to be parents tomorrow. Let's lower the addiction. Let's lower homelessness.
Breaking the cycle.
By encouraging veterans to take the hard lessons we've learned and breathe that back into our children and our families here. And I've had nothing but positive come back from it. I've had so many people, who have said, oh, well, Linda, I've been incarcerated before. And did you learn something? Why not teach the next person so that they don't have to be incarcerated to learn that lesson you learned? That's how I see veterans. I see veterans as people who made the ultimate sacrifice to learn the lessons that some people in our community aren't strong enough to walk that path to learn. But we can take that lesson and we can influence our community to be better. And that's how I see veterans. And so we want to create a mentorship program for families and youth that allow veterans to take those lessons and teach the next generation.
I love it.
That's my plan.
That's good. It's a good plan. I love that. For me, I know you're the same as me. I know you have the same kind of heart as me, and there was probably times just like I did, and I sat there and I was like, God, why are you doing this to me? Like, what I know I did wrong in my past, and it's punishment, but I truly believe, and in the positions we're in now, we use that. There was a reason for that. There was a reason for our pain and suffering, is to continue to help and be good citizens and help the community. And I'm starting to with Battle on the Homefront. I'm really opening it up, and I was focused when Battle on the Homefront started. It was a therapy program. Learning how to grow their own medicine at the time, and obviously it's transformed into so much bigger. You heard me say today, I don't have a plan. I just follow my heart and my passion and my purpose, and everything will continue. But
that is your plan.
That is it.
Yeah.
And so, but what I'm really loving that Battle on the Homefront's doing now is that we're not just focusing directly on the veteran, and we are, but we're taking those veterans and we're working in the community. We're still building that camaraderie, that brotherhood. We're taking care of the home front that me and you and so many of our brothers and sisters fought for, and taking care of the home front. That was my whole purpose with Battle on the Home Front, is to take care of our people here, and so we're expanding and with that. But I'm grateful for our relationship. I know that we have some really cool stuff ahead of us.
Yes.
And what I like about you as well is you're not competitive like most of them. And I say it on my show all the time, but a lot of these nonprofits are competitive.
Yes.
And they don't want to work with each other.
Or they're afraid that somebody's going to steal the limelight, or they didn't get the recognition,
or somebody's going to raise more money than them, because they have their own fat salaries, and a lot of them are. And I'm about to start calling a bunch of you out. Get ready. But yeah, I will, trust me. But so I love what's in the future for us, because what all we have, what I got going right now, and with Kelly Hall, with Homeless Military Veterans, is perfectly in line with what y'all are doing. And I think all we want to do is help and give back on the home front. So. And
veterans don't quit. This is where we're at today, but in 5 years, my goal is to have the first halfway home for men who have experienced a divorce or separation. Have that be veterans, have that be service members, have that be civilians. But like, for instance, when you're active duty, you don't get 2 homes for your family. You get 1. You don't get 2 BAH checks, you get 1. So if you go through a divorce or separation, you now need 2 homes. Yeah. And we want to be able in the next 5 years to take Furnishing Fatherhood and furnish apartments that men can go to, even if they are active duty, even if they are veterans, they can go there and be able to still have time with their children. That is what's going to make an impact on PTSD. Being able to create resources and pathways so that people don't have to stay stuck in their minds, feel like there's nobody there with them. That is my goal.
Well, and it takes away, right? It takes away a lot. If you're already dealing with mental health, and I know this because, and still to this day I do the best I can, and there's still times I lash out and my anger gets the best of me, and I'm not perfect, and I know that, but when you mitigate a lot of the already stresses, you can focus on your loved ones and their, because all the other things is what causes these triggers. You're already short-tempered, you're hyper alert, and so like what you said, when it's furnished and they have that place, and it all works out. What we're doing is perfectly in line with each other. We're going to continue this. So please tell everybody your organization. Tell them if they want to help and contribute, how they do about it. Even if that's donating furniture. Like it's so easy to do. Your old furniture, y'all. Like nobody's here is begging for money. And I know how she is, and she's not going to. You can count on that. But I'm saying, obviously, if you want to help. Or if you have furniture, you have stuff that can help a soldier with their mission.
It's so easy talking about, but it's so hard to watch people ask for donations.
For
you
sure,
know what I mean?
For sure, I don't do that.
I get so embarrassed. Like, I'm appreciative of you having this conversation.
I know, that's why I did it, because I knew you did.
Oh God.
No, but and we're the same. We want to do something, right? But we don't want to be a burden.
Yes.
That's how, and we're
I'm not asking for a
handout.
handout.
We're humble, we're prideful, but we just got to let the community know, and that's through what I do and you do and Kelly Hall, and but we just want to throw it out there in the air and say, if you want to contribute, if you want to be a patriot, if you want to take care of the home front, what me and my brothers have fought so hard for, we want to help. So please, if you'd like to help, but continue.
If you like this conversation that we're having, if you're listening right now and you're thinking to yourself, holy crap, I know somebody's been through this. I remember when Joe was going through this. I remember when so-and-so was homeless and going through this transition. We all know somebody. And what's really interesting is when you start this conversation and you start thinking about it, you start realizing how many men in your life are divorced dads, and you start realizing how many of these men have experienced these hardships and how many times we've overlooked it. If you want to get involved, meet me in Spencer, Oklahoma. We work there every single day. Some days it's fixing vacuums. Some days it's hanging up new hoops. Some days it's doing what we need to do for our community, period. And if you're listening to this conversation and you want to be a part of that, come out. We're there every day. We don't hold anybody back. We don't stop anybody from getting involved, but we encourage everybody to come out. So we're gonna start having some veterans come out and just doing coffee with them actually. So
some Barrage coffee.
We're gonna have to talk about this.
I'll make sure I
because when you start giving this as an opportunity to service members who are out now, what they're reaching for is camaraderie. What they're wanting is that connection again. We have those connections, we have those means by bringing it back to our community to make it a better place.
Sure.
It's a full circle.
Tell if they want to get in contact with you, please tell them how to get in contact with you, either the Facebook or .com, whatever it is.
Okay, so I have a Facebook page called Furnishing Fatherhood. You can find me. I'm the only Furnishing Fatherhood on social media. My name is Linda Steele. You can find me through there as well. And I do have a website, achildsworth.org, and that is our huge nonprofit where we are actually building a community center through. So
love it. I'm grateful for our friendship, and I look forward to what we can do in the future.
Shout out to Raymond Storm for making this possible.
Shout out.
Seriously.
Good,
Seriously.
Good. Hey y'all, thank you all for tuning in to Battle on the Homefront.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the pledge of allegiance on the 4th of July. It's the handwritten letters from home. It's the sleepless nights alone.